Hey everyone, welcome to a special episode of Welcome Home Podcast, Golden Button Detours. I know it's such a long name. We have probably our best guest, and Matt, I'm going to say that's even saying that we had Jim Cummings on to talk about Winnie the Pooh. I'm still going to say you're our best guest. So let me introduce Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. He's all over the place in terms of social media. You can find him everywhere. Matt, kind of give us a little bit of an introduction.
Wow, I've made it past Winnie the Pooh. That is now I'm gonna tell my kids about this afterwards.
There you go.
Hi, my name is Matt. I run RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I've been following and tracking and reporting on Royal Caribbean for well over a decade now. Started it as kind of I was going on a cruise and was excited, and since then it's taken a life of its own. And yeah, I professionally go on Royal Caribbean cruises.
I love that. I wish I can grow up and do that at some point too. So let me explain how I actually came to find out about Matt. So we had gone on our Disney cruise, which went to Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point, the Bahama port to call, and we were coming back. I had actually driven down with two of my kids, and my wife and my other son had flown down. They were lucky enough to have some vouchers from a D1 visit, I guess. Are we allowed to say that? I don't know. I don't know if the NCAA is going to come after us. But anyway, on a canceled trip. So I was listening. I said, oh, you know what? We went on this Disney cruise, but my kids are getting older. You know, I'm thinking about maybe Royal Caribbean. Let me start looking, see who has some stuff. And gosh, Matt, you got me 12 hours home. I mean, that was great. Listening to you was absolutely wonderful. So that's kind of how we found out about Matt. And then we asked, and, Matt was nice enough to join us. So
sweet.
Yeah, the goal here is to kind of talk a little bit about the difference between Disney cruises and Royal Caribbean and kind of get an understanding of, what's better, what's worse, things like that. Matt has told me that he has been on a Disney cruise before, so that's actually good to know. And I guess we'll just kind of get started. Actually, I did want to give Matt the opportunity to plug his sponsor, though, because we may end up using them for our Royal Caribbean cruise as well. Right? I mean, MEI Travel, can you plug them?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been using MEI Travel for a long time. I've been using them even before they were sponsored. They just offered some great service. In fact, I started using them when we were planning Disney World trips. I mean, that's how long ago, we really went back with them. And they just provide really the kind of customer service that I look for. And I'll just say it this way. When my parents need to book a cruise or something, I refer them to MEI. I mean, it really is more, it's not just because the check cleared, because I really do believe in what they offer. And that's why I've been partnering with them it's well over a decade. We've been spending a lot of time working together, and they are some fantastic people. They could save you time. They will save you time. They could save you money, and they're just going to make everything so much easier for you.
I love it. And that's always what we're looking for is ease. So we're just going to jump into questions. We got a bunch of questions that we had as we were driving home. We have some questions from our group members, some write-in questions. So we're just going to start and just kind of get through some of them. So the first thing is for Disney cruises, and I'm always going to kind of preface this by saying, I'm going to start with, hey, this is how Disney cruise works. And that's where Matt's going to come in and tell us if things are the same or different. There's usually a Facebook group that's created for a Disney cruise. And those Facebook groups can be used for things like fish extenders and just kind of meeting up with the people that you're going to be cruising with. Does, Royal Caribbean do something similar? Do those people do something similar?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are Facebook groups for pretty much every sailing. I mean, if you're doing a domestic sailing out of the U.S., I would be shocked if there wasn't a group. I mean, maybe if you do an exotic sailing, it might be a little more difficult. But this day and age, if you just go into Facebook and you type in your ship name, Oasis of the Seas, and the date, odds are there's almost certainly a group. The only exception, obviously, is if you do this well in advance. I mean, I always talk about cruises super early, but within 6 months of the cruise, there should definitely be a group there. Sometimes there's competing groups. I'm sure you see that phenomenon also with Disney, but yeah, no, they do exist. Some groups, and just like Disney, some groups are far more active than others. Sometimes it's just a bunch of people who are going in there to, say hello and share some photos. And other times, I mean, people put together events and, cabin crawls and things of that nature. So it really depends on who's the leader, but yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a thing.
So things on Disney, right? We have fish extenders, which is, they give little presents out and things like that. And then I guess the other thing that happens a lot on Disney cruises is kind of decorating the doors to the cabin. So those two things, something similar or not really? Is that more of a Disney thing?
Cabin decorations are absolutely a thing. You'll see plenty of cabin decorations. Same rules as Disney. Make sure you don't bring any adhesives. You just bring magnets to put it up there. Fish extenders aren't a thing because you don't have a fish to extend, thus you don't have an extender. But the cabin decorations can get very ornate. So yeah, definitely plan on that.
Wonderful. This is probably our biggest one that we get asked most often is, for Disney outside of Palo, all the dining's really included, right? So you're going every night and you're switching to, the different location that you have planned, after the show. This is such a large open-ended question, but how is Royal Caribbean similar and not similar in terms of dining? Because that's really the biggest thing that we get asked a lot.
Yeah. I mean, bottom line is no matter what we're talking about here, Royal Caribbean and Disney are far more alike than they're not. Disney, despite its marketing, has not done tremendously more in terms of being a mass market cruise line that appeals to families. There are going to be restaurants that are included and restaurants that are not included. So, Palo is a great example. That's called a specialty restaurant on Royal Caribbean. I know Disney probably calls it a magical experience in which your money flies away from your pocket. It does. But it's the same thing. There are restaurants that cost extra and there are restaurants that are included. Just like Disney, you can go on a Royal Caribbean ship and never spend another dime on food and have plenty of food to go from. There's the main dining room. There's a buffet. And by the way, the buffet is open for dinner on Royal Caribbean ships. I know on Disney, that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
There's food by the pool deck. Which ship are we talking about, by the way? This might make it a little bit easier to also
we're just generally talking. So unfortunately, I'm going to kind of hold you to a generalization.
Okay, that's fine. I would say the primary differences in terms of food is that Disney does include soda at just at the pool deck, right? That's only like one location.
You can get it. I mean, there is that spot, and you can get it at dinner. But you're right; it's just at those kind of locations.
Yeah. All right. So that's not included. Soft drinks would cost extra. It's for you. I would venture to say that the price difference between an average Disney cruise and a Royal Caribbean cruise, no matter how much soda you drink, you're going to come out ahead in this math. I'm just telling you this right off the bat. Keeping in mind, by the way, that Royal Caribbean offers drink packages. There are 3 tiers of drink packages. You can get unlimited soda on board the ship. And that's at any venue on board, the main dining room, especially restaurants, Perfect Day at Coco Key, Labadee, anywhere there is a soda dispenser, it would be included with your soda package. Then there's the Royal Refreshment package, which includes all the non-alcoholic drinks on board, specialty coffees, teas, sodas, of course, bottled water. That's included. And then on top of that, you have the deluxe beverage package, which includes pretty much everything: alcohol, beer, wine, spirits, cocktails, anything under $15 is included with that. Now, obviously, depending on how much you care to drink, this may or may not be a great deal for you. In terms of soda for kids, I mean, if you drink 5 or 6 sodas a day, you're going to break even on that soda package. It's a great thing for kids in a lot of cases.
It sounds a lot like me per se. My kids are good for them, but they drink water. I'm usually the only one that drinks soda, which is, I don't know. I raised them right, didn't raise myself right. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about my parents, though. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll leave that one alone. So in terms of kind of how many different dining options there are that are kind of an up cost, what is that percentage kind of like? Like that's where like we worry, and we've often been like, okay, so we're going to go on this Royal Caribbean boat, and is it going to be like 50%, 50%, or is, kind of those upcharged dining packages not as much as that?
You mean like how many venues are there?
Yes. Yep. I don't want to have to, like, I guess for me, right? It's like, am I walking by like 10 venues that like I go, oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, but they're all upcharges?
Fair enough. Yeah. No, obviously this depends on the ship. If you're going on Enchantment of the Seas, as an example, there are 2 specialty restaurants, Chops Grill and Chef's Table. So that's not really an issue. If you're going on Icon of the Seas, there's going to be significantly more choices for you. The bottom line is that, there'll be a handful. I'm going to say on an average ship, you're talking about somewhere between 3 and 6. And also depends on your definition of restaurants that cost extra, right? Like in some cases, there's like Chef's Table. Chef's Table is like an ornate sit down experience, kind of like Victoria and Albert to some extent. Grand Floridian. But it's not really a common restaurant. I don't think most people go there. It's like a one-off kind of experience. But there will be a few of them.
Yeah. Some sort of special event you're doing on board or something like that.
Yeah. I think you're going to find that, number one, it's pretty easy to figure out quite quickly which restaurants are included and which are not in the cruise compass that you get. This is the daily, I forget you call it the Navigator on RCCL. It lists the hours for restaurants, and it makes it quite clear what's included, what's not included in the app, which is really helpful. Royal Caribbean's app is, and I haven't used Disney's app, but from everyone I've been talking to, Royal Caribbean's app is far superior to Disney's app.
Disney's app is not great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So their app also lists exactly which restaurants are included, what's open, is it included or not. I don't think you'll have much problem. Basically, if you extrapolate the Disney model, which is you have Apollo that costs extra, and I'm not sure on the newer Disney ships which restaurants cost extra, but the bottom line is there are just more of them, but it's the same basic concept. But as I said earlier, you're going to find plenty of food included in your cruise fare if you're not looking to spend extra.
So as your first kind of crossover cruise, if you were to say you're going from Disney to Royal Caribbean, do you do that, you think, as your first one, or do you just kind of as your first cruise kind of go out there and kind of see what the non-pay options are to start with? Like, what's kind of your take on that?
I think, honestly, if I were you, I would do what I would recommend to first-time cruisers. I would rely heavily on the included fare, and then I would sprinkle in one or two specialty restaurants just to see what it's like. So if you're on a 7-night cruise, I would eat at one or two specialty restaurants. And when it comes to specialty dining, you should definitely pre-book it before the cruise. You'll save money. Don't wait to book it on board the ship.
Gotcha. And how do shows work? So again, for the Disney model, you have this show that's either before or after dinner. You have that one show at night. And I'm not talking about the other events, just necessarily like, is there a play that like kind of like Disney does, and does it compare, let's say? Yeah,
great questions. Obviously, this also depends on the ship, but in generally speaking, there are evening entertainment. There's going to be Royal Caribbean has a couple different venues also, whereas Disney, I believe, only has its theater. You can have shows in a theater. You can have shows in the Aqua Theater, which is an outdoor, or on Icon, it's actually indoor amphitheater that features divers and acrobatics. There's also an ice skating rink theater, which features an ice show. So it depends on what ship we're talking about, but let's just make generalizations here. There's evening entertainment. Oftentimes there's more than one show going on on any given evening. So the idea is they're dispersing crowds. So, but the good news is it's not just shown once a day, or once a cruise rather. There's multiple opportunities to see it. In some cases, especially on sea days, there could be also shows in the afternoon, like a matinee. Nice. And on Royal Caribbean's bigger, newer ships, there are Broadway shows, like the actual Broadway show, Mamma Mia, Cats, Hairspray, Grease. On Icon of the Seas, there is The Wizard of Oz. And these are full length, not cut down shows. They're 90 minutes or longer. Some of them do have an intermission, like Mamma Mia does have an intermission with it.
Okay.
But, and these are all included with your cruise fare as well. Nice. If you are on a ship, an Oasis, a Quantum, or an Icon class ship, those are the bigger ones, you can and should pre-book entertainment beforehand. It's free to do so. You just need to go into the cruise planner, log in, make within 30 days, you'll have the opportunity 45 days, you'll have the opportunity to reserve a show, and you just pick a show, a day, a time, how many people, boom, that's it. And basically that just assures you of admission in there. If you don't get one, don't worry, because you can simply go in the standby line and you'll be able to get in, no problem. People make reservations all the time. And then, of course, they're on the cruise, they're hanging by the pool, and they're like, we ain't going to no show. We're going to hang out. We're going to stay over here. So there's a lot of no shows. If you're on other ships, if you're on older, smaller ships than those three I mentioned, there's no reservations needed because none are offered. So you just simply show up to the show beforehand.
All right. So that leads us to a great question. What ship would you suggest if you've only been on Disney cruises? So what Royal Caribbean ship as a first cruise? And let's just call it somewhere leaving out of Florida to make our life easy, right?
Yeah. I mean, by far, there's two ships you should definitely be eyeing. One is Icon of the Seas, which goes out of Miami. And the other one's the brand new Utopia of the Seas, which is going to be sailing out of Port Canaveral probably by the time this episode airs. Oh, nice. So, those are the two newest, latest and greatest. They have all the features. In fact, I was talking to a friend when I was on Icon last week, and she remarked, she's like, actually, Icon is a great ship for like a Disney cruiser, because it's just, it offers the most for families. And a lot of people who come from Disney have this trepidation about taking their family on a non-Disney ship. And to Disney's credit,
that's my wife.
With marketing it, trust me, you're going to have a great time with families. And Icon was designed with young families in mind. A lot of times you hear about people go to Royal Caribbean when their kids get older, like above the age of 9 or 10.
That's kind of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And those ships are great. Listen, Utopia of the Seas, fantastic. Wonder of the Seas, lovely. I mean, those are great ships for that. But if you have younger kids, not that older kids won't enjoy Icon by any means. If you have the 6 and under set, Icon would have more for you to do, and really, I think, open your eyes to how much there is for younger families on board.
Gotcha. All right. This is a big question. I know, but so we just went to, we've been to both islands at Disney. I would say, and you can go to either the podcast I did about it, or I wrote a piece for our website, BSC Kids, about Lookout Key. there wasn't a lot to do, right? And when I look at what Royal Caribbean has, and I listened to your episode, again, everyone, if you have any follow-up questions, Matt's probably already talked about this. Go find the episode. So this is a short take on some of this. How is that island different than Disney? I mean, I know there's just a lot more to do, but I mean, for that whole Disney crowd, like what should they expect in, going to that island? And there's a cost associated with some things on that island as well, correct?
Yeah, Perfect Day Coco Key is the name of the private island in the Bahamas. It's actually really close to Castaway Key, so it's not very far away. But this is basically Castaway Key is the old style private island experience where you have a couple beaches, you go there and you kind of chill out, right? And Royal Caribbean does offer that here, but there's a lot more to it. And the variety is what's really key here. And I always think, Damon, that, variety is the spice of life.
Yeah.
Like that to me is the most important thing. So they have chill and they have thrill. And the majority of the island experience is included in your cruise fare. You simply walk off the ship, pick a beach, and go hang out there. No problem at all. The chairs, the umbrellas, the food is included. Your Wi-Fi package works there. If you purchase it on board the ship, your drink package works there. If you had one on the ship, that's all good. The food is fantastic. That's a big difference. Like traditionally, island food is pretty bad. It's like hot dogs, burgers, and like a salad.
Yeah, look how Key did a little bit better than Castaway. That's for sure. The food was definitely better there, but I totally understand where you're coming from.
Yep. And here in the included food, you're going to have, you still have hot dogs and burgers. Don't get me wrong, but you're also going to have a lot more. There's a salsa bar. There are tacos you can have. There are Cuban sandwiches. There's vegetarian options. There's a lot more variety of food. There's chicken sandwiches, which are absolutely fantastic. Mozzarella sticks. Oh, it's so good. And on top of that, there are extra cost options if you would like. There's the Cocoa Beach Club, which is more of like, if you prefer an elevated, quieter experience, not kids only, just want more of an elevated experience. There's that option. There's Thrill Water Park, which costs extra and is a full water park with a dozen or so slides, a wave pool. It's really, really fun. Okay. You have the new Hideaway Beach, which is an adults only beach area. So this is basically, again, an enclave for adults that are located there. And then you have your traditional private island excursions, just like Castaway has, jet skis and parasailing and things of that nature.
Okay. And so when you're going to do an excursion outside of this island per se, how do how's the Royal, excursion experience? I mean, I know you do some things on your own. You've probably done things through Royal. Like, how is that experience getting off the boat and doing something with Royal?
Pretty easy. I mean, I suspect if memory serves me correctly, it's pretty much the same experience. You're going to get a card or a ticket rather in your cabin and it'll tell you report at this place at this time. You're either going to report, almost certainly you're going to report to the main theater at a certain time to meet up with your group. So occasionally they'll direct you to meet up on the pier. It's pretty not common, but it could. But anyway, you report to a place in time. They have a bunch of crew members there with signs and it has your tour name on it. And if you can't find it, no worries. Someone directs you to where you need to go. And then you're off to the races and they take you to where you need to go. The experience, in my opinion, is pretty much exactly the same because remember, Disney, Royal Caribbean, Carnival, they all use third parties for their short tours. They vet them, but it's the same people organizing the excursion no matter which line you're on.
Wonderful. All right. We're about halfway through, everybody, just so you know. Matt's been wonderful. So here's the questions that actually came from our group members. So there's a small thing that, this is what they said. They're asking about smoking on the boat. I know that there is a casino, which, by the way, I just love casinos. When we were up north, I was a Foxwoods person. Absolutely love going. Yeah, super excited to do a casino. But I've, listening to some of your things, I heard that there's some now smokeless casinos and, non-smokeless. But in general, for somebody, is the smoking section more prominent on RCL versus Disney?
First of all, Mohegan Sun is superior to Foxwoods, so I'm just going to put that out there.
I've been to both, but yeah, I feel like I won more at Foxwoods. It kind of puts me in that mindset. That's all.
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So again, depends on the ship, right? When I was on Icon of the Seas, it's the best smoking experience. And I'm not a smoker. I think I hope that they get rid of smoking on cruise ships because the problem with the casino, especially on older ships, is that the casino becomes the indoor smoking lounge, which is not meant to be. Gotcha. That's not Royal Caribbean's rules. It just de facto becomes that. And it definitely impedes it. Technically, there's a non-smoking and a smoking side of all the casinos, but just like a non-smoking section on an airplane, like, it's not going to work. You're going to smell smoke. If you're very sensitive to it, it's not great. If you're okay with a little bit of it, I've certainly enjoyed my time in the casino on any of these ships. And I find that if I stick to, the non-smoking side and don't go too far into the smoking side, it's not too bad. There is on the Oasis class ships, they converted a different venue. It used to be a jazz club, and now it's an indoor non-smoking venue, excuse me. Okay. And there, it's a much smaller space, but they have the basics. There are slot machines, obviously. Mm-hmm. There's one blackjack table, a roulette table, and I think a poker table. It's a smaller footprint. They don't have all the machines they have in the main casino, but if you really do want to go on a cruise without smoking in the casino, that's definitely the best option for you.
And how is smoking outside of the casino?
There's only 2 places people can smoke outside of the casino. One is on one side of the pool deck. Mm-hmm. Usually I believe it's the port side in one little area. And then on the promenade deck, the deck that goes around the ship on the outside, mm-hmm. On one side, again, there's smoking allowed over there. I'm not sure how similar that is to Disney or not, but,
and how do you feel that people adhere to that? Like pretty good? Like, too many issues? Okay.
Yeah. The biggest issue is just people who vape and think that the rules don't apply to them or they can sneak one in.
That's true. Yeah.
I think that happens everywhere. But that's really, really few and far between, but I do notice it because I just notice these things.
Yeah, of course. So here's another question. So we have a concierge cruiser, right? And they've heard that RCL offers much more in that class than Disney.
Oh yeah. So
tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
Well, there's actual services provided. It's not just in name. So that's
it's just not like a little bit of extra free food and
Yeah, no, the concierge is huge. So again, this depends on, and again, depending on how far into this you want to go. Like let's use the newer ships as an example, but Royal Caribbean enhanced its suite program a number of years ago with the Oasis, Quantum, and Icon class ships. Mm-hmm. So they have 3 different tiers. They have C class, Sky class, and Star class. If you do Star class, everything's included. Drinks, especially dining, your gratuities. You get a royal genie who is not quite a butler, but is somebody who basically you don't have to wait for anything. You don't have to do any, like there's no reservations required. They just bring you there. You want to see a show? Bam, we got seats for you. You want to go to this restaurant? Bam, we're going to get you in there. You want to book the shore excursion? Bam. Well, assuming it's not sold out, they'll do that for you. Yeah. They will deliver drinks to your cabin. They will do pretty much everything. It's really impressive, but that's on the higher end. I think what we're really talking about is Sky class primarily, which is when you have access to, first of all, the suite concierge, who is your own little, well, not your own, but everybody who's in a Sky class suite, their little guest services person who's there to make their life easier, make reservations. They can help you with any problems you may have. You have access to the suite lounge. Okay. On those bigger ships, you have actually access to an entire restaurant just for suite guests. Known as Coastal Kitchen, which is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There is, of course, included, there's a little snack station in there. There's a coffee machine in there. That's included as well. And there's reserved seating for you on the pool deck for suite guests. Priority embarkation in the terminal. So when you get in, you get to bypass the line and go to a special line just for you. It's pretty darn impressive, and they do a really good job with it.
Oh, nice. Okay, so this is kind of a interesting question. I'm sure this is wide open, but they're asking, what is the one thing you wish you knew before you cruised RCL? Coming from Disney, let's say. Let's kind of add to that question.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to answer. I would say this, and I said this earlier, but I think it's really important. They're more similar than they're not. A lot of people think when you go from Disney to Royal Caribbean or pretty much any other cruise line, that it's going to be a seismic difference in experience, that only Disney can do it really, really well. And I hope you don't take that as a condescending comment.
No, I understand.
Yeah, like I have lots of friends who came from Disney to Royal Caribbean. I call them Disney refugees. They've escaped the pricing of Disney and they want to come over, and they really think that there's no way the experience can come close to it. But they realize there's a lot more that it's similar than not. And it really stands out with that. So you're going to find that if you cruise with Disney before, you're going to find so many more similarities with Royal Caribbean. I mean, Royal Caribbean shows Disney films on board. I remember I was on a ship and they showed Encanto. Like, it's not like they don't do Disney stuff on. There's Disney trivia on board. They call it House of Mouse trivia, but it is Disney trivia on board. It's not to say you have to give up everything Disney that you love with there. It's just not obviously over the top Disney while on a Royal Caribbean ship.
Yeah. So that lends it to kind of the next question. So and again, Matt, I forget, how old are your kids, if you don't mind?
They're 9 and 13.
Okay. And so as everyone knows, I have 14, 18, 20. I don't even know if I can call the 18, 20-year-old kids anymore, but they're my kids. So they'll always be my kids. So, all right. So here's the question. So preteen and early teen children at Disney, super comfortable letting them run around unsupervised, right? Because there's, the gambling and all that. Do you still feel comfortable, right? It's like, what do they have in place to kind of make you feel comfortable letting your kids just kind of run free?
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're worried about the gambling, I mean, first of all, most kids steer clear of the casino, but second of all, I mean, there's security and people are going to they're not going to gamble. There's no way they're going to be able to gamble. They can't gamble because their CPAS card doesn't work as a minor. Mm-hmm. I mean, they would be spotted in about a half a second before they could even do anything in there. So you really don't have to worry about that one bit. My kids, as they've gotten older, we've started giving them more leeway in terms of being able to walk around the ship. Mm-hmm. And, it's fantastic. And on top of that, of course, you have the programming for the teens. It's really impressive that not only they have a teen club, but they have dedicated areas of the ship just for teenagers, especially on the newer ships. Okay. They have lounges, outdoor and indoor lounges. I mean, Wonder of the Seas has its own hot tub for teenagers, which is really impressive.
Oh, that's kind of cool because I think sometimes those outdoor activities, people are, the teenagers are more apt to go by themselves too, rather than indoor stuff where they have to walk through a door and everyone look at them come in. So
absolutely.
I think that makes great sense. Okay. So let's see. This is another one this is more of a me question, but I was happy that multiple people asked me this as well. We're a 5-person family. On Disney, I feel like it's super easy. I can go on and book. I can book 5 people. I don't have to call up and all that fun stuff. How does Royal do it, right? Because I know you can't necessarily book 5 people in one room online. You have to call, which is fine. But what's there available? Like I said, for us, 5 people in a room, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different options. There are some cabins that are available that are traditionally called like spacious ocean view or spacious interior rooms, and they have like little bunk beds. It really, they have separation there. There's not that many of those cabins. Truly, what I would say for you is don't book one cabin. That's actually a mistake. Book 2 connecting cabins. Okay. And because you're on Royal Caribbean, the price is not insane. You're going to find it very affordable. We've been doing this for years when we started having kids, because putting everybody in one cabin stinks. You don't want to share a room with that many people.
It's the bathroom, I think.
The bathroom. Yeah, exactly.
It's the bathroom.
So book 2 connecting rooms. This works out so well. On Royal Caribbean's website, there is a connecting cabin option. It's really easy to do so. Your travel agent can help you with that. But that's really the way to go about it. Just book 2 connecting rooms. I can't guarantee you, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how much more affordable this option is. The other option, of course, suites tend to obviously offer that, but that's going to cost you a lot more money. You can easily do a very affordable cruise in 2 cabins and have the extra bathroom separation, which is really important. Not everyone has to go to bed at the same time. I can't say enough about that option. With the with Icon of the Seas, though, one more thing I just want to mention. Royal Caribbean really emphasized, though, the 5-passenger model. So you're going to find a lot more cabins on Icon that can support families.
And those suites that they have, I mean, the 2 rooms versus the suites, you're still a 2-room guy?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the cruise. We just did Icon of the Seas and we were in a suite, but when we go on Utopia of the Seas, we're doing, we're doing balconies, and we go back and forth. It really depends on how the price, quite frankly, if there's a good price on a suite, we'll go for it. If not, we do 2 rooms, but we've done many times. Okay.
Gotcha. Matt, I think that's it. I mean, we made it through. Again, one of the kind of sticking points that we try to do for these shorter episodes is keep them to under 39 minutes. That's always my goal. So I think we'd adhere to that. But I do want to give you the opportunity to just anything else that I may have missed that you kind of want to talk about from Royal Caribbean that you feel might be beneficial to, kind of the Disney people and the other people cruising.
Yeah, there's 2 things I think that we should probably mention. One, no matter what Royal Caribbean cruise you do, pre-book everything before the cruise because it will be cheaper. Drink packages, especially restaurant, shore excursions. Royal Caribbean runs sales all the time. So pre-book it. You can cancel and rebook. There's no penalty. That's number 1. Number 2, a big difference also between Royal Caribbean and Disney are the variations on itineraries, because Royal Caribbean has 28 ships now. I'm losing track of how many ships there are now in the fleet. So you don't have to be limited to a handful of ships. You can go to not only the Caribbean, but also Alaska, various places within Europe, Australia, China. There are a ton of places they go. So if you're looking to get beyond Cozumel and Nassau and San Juan, that's a huge difference maker right there. So take advantage of that, especially as an opportunity to double dip, get Royal Caribbean, save money, and go somewhere really cool.
Okay, so this brings up a question that just kind of popped into my mind. So for the people that are like, hey, okay, so I'm not going to do Disney, why am I doing Royal Caribbean over Norwegian?
And not to disparage Norwegian. I feel
No,
like
and that's not what we're looking for here. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Royal Caribbean is more family friendly, number one. And also, I think Norwegian has more of a Spirit Airlines approach to cruising, in my opinion, than Royal Caribbean does. They both obviously have upcharges, but Norwegian tends to do a little more. They tend to lean a little more heavy into that. But I think really, it's really the family aspect. Norwegian is family friendly. Don't get me wrong. It's not Virgin Voyages by any means, but there's more to do for families on Royal Caribbean, and the entertainment is superior on Royal Caribbean.
Favorite free event on any of the cruise ships that you've done? I'm going to make it easy for you in the past year on Royal Caribbean.
Oh my God. It's always about the entertainment. I mean, geez, we could, I saw Wizard of Oz on Icon. That was fantastic. My favorite place to go every night is the pub. They have a musician in there that performs totally free. I mean, obviously the drinks cost extra, but totally free to sit down, enjoy the music. I love the live music on Royal Caribbean. It is eye opening how much attention they have to that in terms of the live music. Jazz bands in Central Park, the pub singer, piano player, dueling pianos. I mean, there's so many cool opportunities to see live music, guitarists, pool band. I think that'll really stand out especially.
Yeah, I think my kids are going to be very interested in this. Like I said, next year we're doing a Royal Caribbean and we're doing a Disney.
Nice.
So I think for us, the Royal Caribbean is going to be more timeline based. Like I said, with the kids, 2 kids in college, it becomes a little bit more difficult to find the time. So we're probably doing something in July, but I think that will be fun. Everybody listen, I just want to say Matt had a lot to go through to get here. I want to, totally thank him for making this happen. I think this is going to be great for the audience, and hopefully in the future, we'll be able to have him on again. I'd love to have you on hey, maybe before then, but if not, after we go on our Royal Caribbean cruise and kind of chat about it again.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on here. Appreciate it.
Of course. And honestly, if anyone has any questions, I mean, you can go check out Matt's website. You can go check out the podcast. I think he's probably answered everything, that he's done full episodes on. And I'll tell you, it's been a wonderful to listen to your episodes. And I never thought that I'd be so intrigued by a 1-person podcast, but Matt, you make it happen. You really do. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. I'm very good at talking to myself.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See you next episode. Just a reminder that Golden Button Detours is for entertainment purposes only. If you have a question about the Disney Cruise Line, please reach out to a Disney cast member. And if you have any questions about the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, please reach out to Royal Caribbean directly. Thank you.